We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids.
Good evening, welcome to nufc Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is Geordies here, Geordies there, and welcome to George, to Mitch, to Kevin, to Al-Walid, and to Stu, and to you for watching an hour to talk about Newcastle United. I've tried to be upbeat today, but I've got to be honest, like most of you out there, air of depression around the result, not the football club, the result, because that was a great opportunity for us to get through to the semi-finals for the second year in a row, and we didn't. I don't think anybody can say they let themselves down or let the club down. I think ultimately for me personally, it was just fate. It was meant to be like that. Had Newcastle scored another goal and put the game to bed, Chelsea would never have got back into that game and be sitting in the semi-finals now. But you take the rough with the smooth, and as Eddie Howe said, we win together, we lose together, and that's what we do as supporters. And for me, I've avoided social media like the proverbial plague. Been on it a couple of times to retweet a few things, which I tend to do these days. Very rarely do I put an opinion out. I put a little one out today about Kieran Trippier, which I felt was needed, and did a little short on the channel as well. But that's it. That's the Carabao Cup over for another year, and the FA Cup is still there for us to play for. We take on Sunderland in January. We can have full concentration on that particular cup competition, but also have full concentration on regaining our European position. Whether that's in the Champions League or whether that's in the Europa League remains to be seen. But it means that the ill-fated injury list, which has caused so many problems for Newcastle United over the course of the last 6 to 8 weeks, now hopefully we'll get a little chance to rest once we get December and January out of the way, and then that run-in for the rest of the season can be a great opportunity for Newcastle United to put a run together like we know they can, and potentially finishing as high up the Premier League table as possible. But yeah, slight depression as far as going out the cup competition, but no disappointment in the team or any individuals. Newcastle United, we're black and white. We're with them all the way, and we will continue to do that. And as I say, we'll win together, we'll lose together. So that's my little views over, George. Give us your views.
Well, very similar. I mean, it would be so easy to do what some people have done and pick holes in individuals, pick holes in the team and all the rest of it. In terms of what's gone before, it's another game you could say on another day would win hands down. When I know who was the better team, and it was my team, it wasn't them. And that it went to penalties was another bit of show that doesn't always work for us, but we could easily have got out of that without any problem at all. So no depression in terms of the team and how they played, how they tried. How many times would come home from games at St James's Park in the last 12 years, well, certainly for the last 5 years, and said, if only they'd try. Well, the one thing we've got about this team is they never let us down. They're always trying, and that's magic. We've got to be blessed with that. And as I say, on another 100 nights, 99 times Newcastle United would win that match because they were the better side. Positives are that they all tried the heart out and did everything they possibly could to make it happen. And as I say, I'm not going to pick on individuals. There's been lots of that in the last few days, particularly with regards to Kieran Trippier. And all I'd say to fans, colleagues out there, is remember where we were when that young man signed for us. He signed for a team that was destined for the championship. And has been the catalyst for a lot of the good things that you've enjoyed. So, a couple of bad games isn't going to alter my opinion about that man. So, and it shouldn't yours either. The rest, well, as I say, they all did their bit. There was a lot of good football, a lot of good effort, and there was danger there when it was necessary, and some good defending. It was good to see the defence looking quite solid again against a very, very agile Chelsea forward line, despite the fact that one or two of them were dropping out like flies to get a penalty. I mean, that they got away with murder with that. And also in terms of other things, I mean, some of the tackles last night, and listen to Jamie Redknapp say that one in the second minute or so from the guy with the long hair, it was the leg breaker. You can't send him off. It's only the second minute of the game. What rubbish. What a mindset that is. No, you can't send him off because it's only the second minute of the game. What tripe. It doesn't matter what minute of the game was. If it's a red card, it's a red card. And it's time the refs woke up to this. So yeah, disappointed with the result, obviously. But looking forward to the rest of the season with some pleasure, because as the individuals who've been out injured come back, our strength will come back, and at the right time of the season as well. Don't forget, we've had all this. Other teams might have their turn to come later in the season, so we're going to be running full steam at the right time to get back into a European position.
Mitch, tough one to take that last night. Oh, you're on mute, Mitch. You're on mute.
Yeah, reasonably philosophical about it today. It was a night of ifs and maybes. So many things you could take out of it. The way Bruno celebrated when he made that block, it shows what the thinking is on the pitch. I think if that had been a Premier League game and VAR had been applied, I think Chelsea would have been lucky to finish the game with 9 men. I really do. And not just for the tackles, but for the simulation as well. And I think that we weren't helped by not a bad referee, but a very inconsistent referee last night. And he didn't really have control of the game. And that allowed it to get a little bit niggly. And that in the end helped them, really, rather than us. The situation with Trippier seems very unfortunate. Everything on social media at the minute seems to be binary. It's one or the other. There's no room for subtle nuance. I think you could quite be in order to say Kieran Trippier has done amazing things since he came to Newcastle United for us on and off the pitch. And yet in the last few games, something seems to have affected his concentration, and he's made mistakes he doesn't normally make. And maybe he needs a little bit of protection by being taken out the firing line or what have you. But as a fan base, we owe that back to him, the chance that he took to come to us and lift us out of the mire going forward. I think we need to be a little bit more gracious at times and certainly less knee-jerk. The person who's probably hurting the most is him. I've got no doubt about that. And he also missed a penalty, which is very unlike him as well. Now, is this connected with personal circumstances? Very possibly. He withdrew from the England squad, quoting that, and it also makes sense of a comment mid-conversation Craig Hope made to me and Stu when we were speaking to him in Dortmund when he was talking about the injury list, and he said, and then of course there's a player with other problems he's having to deal with, which at the time wasn't common knowledge. He didn't name the player. He's not as indiscreet as that, but now it seems to be becoming clear who that player was or is. And I don't care who you are, if you're dealing with things off the pitch, it takes a very strong individual to not allow that to infiltrate every other part of your life. And so I think as a fan base, we've got to get away from these knee-jerk reactions and the binary nature, particularly on social media, that it's one thing or another and there's no grey areas, there's nothing in between. I think there's still questions about the use and non-use of Hall for me. I don't know where we're going with that, and that seems to be unusual, especially seeing him sitting on the bench unused when they'd actually been given permission by Chelsea to play him. So again, it comes back to what's going on there. We've got other things around the club, which there's murmurs here and murmurs there. That, though, I see as just white noise. It shouldn't affect what's going on with the first team. And again, we give it our all, and it just feels so desperate in a cup competition that's been manipulated to satisfy the demands of the big six with no replays, no extra time. It's straight to penalties. The fact that they were able to equalise so late on and we then go and lose on penalties is frustrating as heck. And on another night, we walk away with that. On another night, we come away with a win, and a very good win, and a deserved win for nothing else than the sheer effort that everybody put in. And going forward, I'm sure Eddie Howe and the players will take some positive things out of that. But I think I'm frustrated. I'm irritated by some things, but more importantly, still very proud of my team. And seeing people getting very upset about going out in the quarter final, as Stu and I said to each other today in conversation, getting to a quarter final was once a luxury.
Yeah.
And what we need, the one thing we perhaps need to do going forward is, as a club as a whole and as a fan base as a whole, start to change our mindsets. And we've been talking about this for the last 18 months, about changing mindsets, about making do and being happy with mediocrity and being parochial. And I think that only comes with the learning experiences that we have from losing the Carabao Cup final, from events last night. Where could we have done better to put this game to bed? You only develop that sort of mindset by learning from experiences like we've had.
Yeah, Kenny says there would have been toast if the player had been sent off in the second minute. Ref bottled a lot of decisions. Kenny, a lot of that comes down to the fact that the referee last night, Jared Gillette, the best a man can get, not quite, but last night he didn't make a decision because he's probably now so used to VAR making the decision for him.
Agreed, Steve.
And my mindset now is that referees have been, changed. They're stuck with the technology, and that's the way they like it. What should happen is, fair enough, if it's all the lower league teams and they don't have VAR, then maybe don't have it in the competition in those early stages. But when the Premier League teams come in, VAR should be applicable. And let's face it, teams that are in the Championship, if they're vying for promotion, are going to have to get used to VAR. The Championship may even have VAR next season. So VAR is there. If we're going to use the technology, use it. If you're not going to use the technology, don't use it. But don't say one game's got it and one game hasn't, because it's ludicrous. And that's going to create problems like we saw last night. And don't get us wrong. We've got an Aston Villa fan in the chat. Don't get us wrong. I'm not picking that out as a fault, and that's the reason we lost. Who knows? Caicedo could have got sent off. Chelsea could have had the best game of their lives. And, and gone on to win the game and win 2-0. I mean, it's happened before many times. The 10-man team is sometimes harder to beat, but frustrating because of the fact that, it's down to the technology for me again, and lack of VAR means that Jared Gillette just decided to make a decision which he probably, expected VAR to pick up. Probably forgot VAR wasn't even there. But Kevin, obviously we were backwards and forwards like we usually are in the WhatsApp group. You've always got a tactical eye on what was going on last night. I mean, found it quite surprising at times that Newcastle didn't push on, and go for it a little bit more. And then in those later stages of the game, didn't try to be more protective. I'll pick at one point where I think it was Almiron got down to the byline, and instead of trying to keep the ball in the corner, he tried to have a shot across goal, which then led to Chelsea attacking and going upfield. And for me, that was a bit of naivety. I felt, we've done this so many times before, but in that time, waste a bit of time. You're 1-0 up. You're 4 minutes away from getting into the next round. Waste a bit of time, and we didn't do that. But give us your view on last night's game.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's pretty much what I wrote down as individual errors. From that sense, cost you in terms of that Miggy moment where you had just put it into the stand, hold it into the corner, do something, waste, like you said, waste time. But yeah, it's just disappointing from a tactical standpoint from Eddie Howe. He was like 2 or 3 minutes away from a perfect tactical display from his team. Again, the individual errors cost us. Obviously what happened with not even stopping the cross getting into the fucking Trippier to head the ball. So I think it's even minuscule things like that where, yes, they've rang the socks up, but you still have to do your job. You still have to stop the first cross and things like that, which again is disappointing. But you can understand the workload that they've put in. Granted, in my opinion, Chelsea played at a walking pace. And it was very easy for us to stay in that mid to low blocks and things like that. It was easy for us. It didn't really penetrate. It didn't really get in between us or through gaps. If we push high, then they look to play balls over the top, which I thought we dealt with well. I thought Botman and Lascelles looked very comfortable in that. We're just playing up with that Jackson, their centre forward. We dealt with him to just pass them over side to side. But I just thought we could have got 5-10 yards further up the park a little bit in those latter stages. Get not even in the centre circle, not even that, just a little bit more to condense the play in the middle third to stop that ball going from a transitional standpoint. And I think that's what, and I've said this before, that's what hurts us when we go forward. Yes, the recovery, your transition, and I think that's where we have a few problems. 1 or 2 passes hurt us, and it did last night, and that was evident in their goal. But look, proud of them for the shift that they put in. But again, it's those fine moments, the margins that we talk about to go into the next round of a cup competition. I think the whole club, the managers, fans, staff, everybody wants to go and win. And you're that close, but you get so far. And Mitch hit the nail right on the head. It's like, what ifs? What if could have this happened? And what if we could have done that or this or that? It's just the fine margins in the game. And they just found a way and we couldn't deal with it. And that's just the nature of the beast of football. That's the cruel nature of it. I think we could have maybe snuck another goal if we really wanted to, because I think they weren't that well. Their left centre half, number 5. I don't want to even pronounce his name. Who had that Rick for their goal, our goal, sorry. I thought we could have got around him a little bit more and made him, because he looked really uncomfortable. And I mean, good Lord, Thiago Silva's almost my age, and he looked, had a big fat cigar in his mouth all game, and he just, because it just kept moving and it was a slow pace, because we know that we weren't going to press really high. But when we did press high, we would put them under a massive amount of pressure and made them uncomfortable. And, to do that for 90 plus minutes, that's obviously very hard. And we'll do that every game. But again, it's you picking your moments, your choices of when and where you go, how you press, who presses, and things like that. But again, it's just overall, it was just the small, minute things of individual errors that really cost us the game. I think we all agree that the two fouls, 2 challenges, I don't care when it is, it could be 2 seconds in, it could be 95 minutes in. If you pretty much go from the back of your knee upper calf down to your Achilles, that's going to do some damage in some way, shape, or form. I don't care who you are. And similarly with the one on Kraft, that was just above the ankle, where your tibia and fibula join your ankle, because that could displace that. That's another, not a career ender, but you know, that's a naughty one. And as soon as I seen both, I was like, oh, regardless if you got VAR or not, it's just that's common sense. But I think the ref, like you said, Steve, well, in my opinion, I think the referees are becoming more robotic and computed in a way, programmed in a way that let's not make a decision. I can't make a decision. I don't know how to make a decision. But that's again, that's the nature of what we have to deal with in every game. If you got VAR or not, you know, nobody wants to make a decision. Footballers have to, managers have to, but they can't seem to make one. You know, the human to make errors. Look, I'd rather somebody make a mistake and say, okay, fair enough. Then we'll get on with it and move on. But yeah, so it's again one of those ones. Like I've just got my little strap there. It's the double still on. You know, we'll play that lot from down the road and move on, dust ourselves down, like we always do. Is Newcastle United and go and beat that lot and get into the next round of the FA Cup and progress in the Premier League.
Yeah, good point there by Ron. He says these little kinks in the road are always going to come to our trajectory. This has been rapid. I'm disappointed, but still very pleased with our progression, even though we've got 300 million on the treatment table. And bearing in mind as well, our midfield last night cost 35 million and Chelsea's cost 300 million, Ron. There's another 300 million pound quote for you.
Yeah.
Al-Walid, good evening, or is it in the middle of the night? Or I mean, lots of people commenting on the fact that you've either not got a light bulb or you're sitting somewhere rather dubious.
Hello, lads. Good evening. Actually, I'm at my folks' house, and we are at fireplace. So sorry for the lighting.
Oh, well, good evening, Al-Walid's parents and family. Yes.
Yeah, and my sister here trying to make me laugh, so it's very hard.
Very good. Well, have a good night.
Say hi, Newcastle.
Hello to all the family.
Yeah, hello the family.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Okay, give us your views on last night's game, Al-Walid.
Will we score early? That was great, but we didn't take advantage of that. This is, I think, the hard part. It should be there is more opportunities. I think I'm sure the teams are very exhausted. And I read an interesting statistic today. I'm not really sure if it's accurate. That we received many goals at last 15 minutes. This is a proof of being exhausting. We weren't lucky. I don't like to some of the fans or maybe blame Trippier. I think what was fair. He tried to defend, but the ball move was backward. So Chelsea players, they are. Fantastic as well. They still have some skills, so they snatched the goal. But if I want I'm sad that we didn't score a second goal, because when you score at the beginning, you should control the game. Anyway, hard luck. We hope we can make it. I saw your video, Steve, today, and really it was making me feel better. And thank you for that. And hopefully next. We still have, and the competition will never end, and things will become better. I just want to add something on the VAR. Here in Jeddah, there is a Clubs World Cup. They tried the same technology of cricket, I think, or no, not cricket, maybe American football. They're trying to the referee, when there is a call for VAR, he explained that after the referee go to the screen, he screamed in public and the audience what happened and why he make the decision. And it was very interested, and I noticed it was less much time, and the fans less upset because they got an understanding. So it was really a great experience, and I hope to do this better than the green or whatever cards they are trying to do now.
Good stuff. Okay, Al-Walid, thanks for that. Stu, your feelings on last night's game?
There's so much you can take from it, Steve. Mitch come on before when we were speaking. how many quarterfinals we've been to in the last 30 years. You can probably count on both hands and still have change with your figures. And it's a sign of the times where we've become needy, but we need a bit of realism. It hurts being out the cup, of course it does, because we had a great opportunity to win it, and it's not often we can say that we've had a great opportunity to win it. But it was a backs to the wall type of performance, and I think because we got so close to it, it hurt that bit more. And if you support the club, it does hurt. It doesn't matter. And I challenge anyone who didn't say, and I won't say the words, but FFS Trippier, man, when that happened. But that doesn't mean that you don't respect him. It doesn't mean you don't value him. It's human nature. Of course, it was an error, and he was caught in two minds, possibly even three. Does he flick it out for a corner? Does he head it backwards? Does he drop it in front of the keeper? Was the ball spinning? Did he get caught in the lights? Only he can give you the answer. But he's not Superman, although he's performed like Superman. He's not Superman. And it's been alluded to that he has personal problems. And if he has, I hope they get resolved soon. But even Eddie Howe alluded to it in his press conference, didn't he? But he says, yeah, he's fit, but I'll speak to him to see how he is. So that was one time Eddie Howe let his mask slip and let you know that there's something going on. But, nights like last night, Steve, that'll to me, will make it all the more worthwhile when we actually win something. Because we've talked about it all season. If we were going to win that cup, by God, we would have done it the hard way with the draws that we've got and stuff like that. And it's a fallout that's becoming more frustrating than the losses. There's no middle ground. It's either we're going to definitely win the league this year, or that's it, we're rubbish. How out? Trippier's finished. And when you get people saying it's the low point of supporting the club, get a grip. Seriously, how can losing a quarter final away from home with a vastly depleted squad be the lowest point of supporting? Even this season alone, don't care how long people have supported them. This season alone, I'll give you Brighton, Bournemouth, PSG away. They were all more deflating than what last night was. And as far as I'm concerned, if you sit back and try and defend for the best part of 70 minutes, eventually you get caught out, and we will whisker away from actually what would have been then crowned as a fantastic defensive performance, a smash and grab, call it what you want. The whole objective of last night was to get through to the last round, and we've got people running on empty. We talked about it on the professionals that Gordon is clearly carrying an injury, but he's doing his bit for the team. Wilson's clearly not 100% fit. Then, as we know, Isak wasn't even in the squad last night. Bruno, to me, I think he got a kick again last night, didn't he? So there's so much offensively that I don't think one of our offensive players, when I say offensive, I mean not people who are going and swearing. I'm talking about the ones who are in midfield or up front. Not one of them, I could, from my view watching the game, was worthy of a 7 out of 10 or more. The defenders, however, Lascelles, again, was colossal. He was fantastic, and it was right up his street. That was his type of game. You keep throwing the balls at me, and I'll keep heading them. I was surprised that Botman started, but as it appeared, he was to get 45 minutes, but he come through them very well. He looked composed, and nothing much has been said about Wilson's finish. It was sublime. I thought it was a great finish. Yes, he got a bit of luck, but he made that look by running 60-odd yards with the ball, and the defender panicked, but he still had to score it, and he took it extremely well. Now, so you've got to take everything into consideration. There's mitigating circumstances why we defend deep, and there's one thing I will say: if you look at our injury list, you can pick an 11 there that would probably qualify for Europe. So it's a test of character, and they're rising to it together collectively. As a team, they're in it together, and we should be with them every step of the way, because as far as I'm concerned, they're doing us proud, and they haven't given up. They haven't let their heads go down. Sometimes they don't perform as good as they'd like to, as good as we know they can, but that's because they've set the bar high. But if this is the low point of supporting Newcastle United, dear me, I can't mention many seasons that I've seen that have been higher than this. We've just had it 10 minutes away, 1 goal away from being in the next round of the Champions League, 3 or 4 minutes away from being in the semi-final. And then the fun will start again tomorrow when the draw gets made later tonight. Oh, we could have had that team and that would have been us. And, you know what they say, if me hadn't had something, it should have been my uncle. We can't just keep comparing things about things that aren't relative. We've got to look in the real world and just think we have a team here that are giving their all. And the fans last night at the ground, our fans, were fantastic. They were amazing. They sang non-stop for 90 minutes. And that's what supporting Newcastle is about for me. When you get into the away games and it's the camaraderie, it's the banter, it's the defiance, it's the we'll support you evermore. Not, I will say this is the lowest point of my career or I'll slag a player off and stuff like that. That's easy. Supporting Newcastle United has never been easy in my lifetime. It's getting easier and it's going to get a hell of a lot easier. So just keep supporting them. They deserve it. They've given us over the last 2 years, some of the best moments of supporting Newcastle United in the last 40 years. And there's so much more to come. So for those who are feeling a bit down, stick with it. Whatever happens this season, Trippier could score an own goal every game for the rest of the season he plays in, and we can lose every game. And I still thank him and Eddie Howe for the contribution they've made to this club. What they've done, the two of them, the efforts they've put in, has been incredible. So we go again. We're struggling to get forward players against Luton. And God help, definitely everyone, please, it's Christmas. Try and enjoy it. Stay off social media if we don't win at Luton. So I know I went on a bit, Steve, but we have to have a bit of realism here. And it was a quarter-final of a cup against a team that were bringing on subs more expensive than our record signings. And that game meant as much to them as it did to us because they're not going to finish above us this season. And we were really depleted. And we will get stronger. We will get better. And we'll finish the season on a high. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, had to be said. And well said, everybody on the panel. A bit of realism from us. That's what you get on NUFC Matters. Here's the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website skipsandbins.com. Easy contract, free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks again to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. If you'd like to order some, then give them a call on 01768 210 102. Go to the website mrvickys.co.uk or drop them an email info@mrvickys.co.uk. A big thanks to United Group Travel. They're a family firm based in Morpeth with pickups throughout the Northeast. No strangers on our tours, just people you haven't met yet. They've got a presence on Facebook and a website, unitedgrouptravel.com. If you want to make a booking, give them a call on 01670 632 460 or mobiles 0791 666 4174 0795 71 41654. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals, independent funeral directors. Let us look after you in your time of need. They're based on Old Durham Road in Gateshead, and you can contact them at their website, darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Email darren@darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or give them a call, 0191 478 2730. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And a big thanks to New Workwear. You can find them at newworkwear.com. If you want to help the channel, hit the thumb up to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and share to your other social media. You can also pay a one-off fee of £25 to get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card. Go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and click membership, or put your smartphone over this QR code. We also support the food bank on this channel. If you want to make some donations virtually, go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and make a donation today. We're also a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast providers. Just search NUFC Matters. I'm also part of the Northeast Footy Brekkie Show. You can listen to that Monday to Friday, 7 till 9 at thetooneuk.com. We've also got an event coming up next year. It's in January the 19th at the Tyneside Irish Centre. It's an evening with Nobby Solano. Tickets are available on Voucher for £20. Don't forget, Supermac and Gibbo do every pre-match at Louis Liquor Store. It's free entry, children welcome, and there is great food by Fed's Fried Chicken. They're usually on pre-match and sometimes post-match at Louis Liquor Store. Okay, welcome back to NUFC Matters. Got about 25 minutes left of the show to go, and just want to talk a little bit about Lewis Hall. A lot of people talking about it in the chat, so we tend to go to that. Tom Dixon says the Lewis Hall situation definitely needs push to Eddie Howe. Questions need to be asked as to why such a depleted squad and permission to play, he still doesn't play him. I did find it a bit strange last night, I've got to be honest. I mean, Julie Husband says, do you think Hall was an Ashworth signing and Eddie doesn't fancy him? Said he had to take a chance when it came and maybe not producing in training. He had no pre-season training. I mean, Stu, I'm going to start with you because you often have to go last, so we're going to give you the first option on this one. I mean, it is. Pardon?
I don't mind coming last.
Hey, it was a strange situation this last night because he did come on the channel Sky last night and talk about Lewis Hall. He said great news, he's available. And he said, I look forward to his contribution when he plays. Of course, he wasn't in the starting lineup and didn't come on as a sub. So it is a strange situation, Stu, the Lewis Hall one. But I guess, comes down to that old adage, doesn't it? Eddie sees what he does in training, we don't.
Well, that's definitely it. But who would he have played off instead of last night? The starting 11. Would he have been in front of Livramento? No, not for me. Longstaff? No. Miley? No. Would he be in front of Dan Byrne as the sub to come on? Not for me, no. So you get the people who throw Matt Ritchie at you, but thankfully we only have one official manager in Newcastle. We've got tens of thousands of unofficial managers. But we don't know what's happening with, and if he's performing well enough, and not yet. When Eddie Howe speaks to these press conferences, and I watch every one of them, he's loyal to a point, but he always says, if you get your chance, you take it, etc., etc. I've been underwhelmed with his performances when he has played. He scored a good goal against Man United, but in other games he's looked a bit lost. And I think we discussed it previously. The moving home at a young age affects people in different ways. It's quite possible that he might be a bit homesick. It could be that there is a clause in his contract, but it's all ifs and buts. And we'll find out with, to me, he's got a good chance of starting against Luton. If his attitude's right and his ability there, his fitness is there, why can't he start him? I wouldn't think Eddie Howe is the type of manager that would say, okay, I won't play him because we have to pay more money. That's not his concern. His concern is to get the best team on the pitch. And if he thinks that he's not in that best start 11, he's not a forward. So I can understand if it was a forward not getting a game when we've got no forwards. But we have got some very good defenders. And if Eddie Howe thinks he's not good enough to start a game or tactically decides to bring someone else on, that's good enough for me. But I would also say, had we had other draws in the Cup, he played at Man United, he started against Man City, so he's had his chances. And has he performed well enough to oust a Longstaff or oust Livramento? Not for me, he hasn't. So the only thing that people can really come up with is the Matt Ritchie thing. He threw him on against Tottenham, didn't he? So if it was a case of we're already beaten that game, so it was a case of, well, we can't play him because the amount of appearances he has, why stick him on for a few minutes against Tottenham? I think sometimes it gets whipped up and it escalates and then it becomes a reality when sometimes it's not. We're not getting the same things about Dummett, are we? Why is he not playing Dummett? He plays in a similar position. So I think we need to have a bit of perspective, a bit of realism about it. And if Lewis Hall had played last night, does that mean we would have won? Does that mean we wouldn't have got beat at Bournemouth? Does that mean we wouldn't have got beat at Brighton? You know, I think we have to start sometimes. I've used the phrase before, it's like cool with jets. You know, we're getting too asked about things that we shouldn't really be asked about. We've got probably, well, definitely in my lifetime, one of the best 3 managers running our football team that I've seen, and he should be given every grace and every backing for every decision he makes, because it's his job of the line. It's not your job. It's not my job. It's his job of the line. He has to make the calls, and I trust that we make every call that he makes, and I back him. So if he thinks that Lewis Hall isn't worthy of a start, then he's not worthy of a start. And if he starts him on Saturday, then he is worthy of a start. And maybe it's a message to the young lad is, in probably George's era, this saying was more apt. It was pull your socks up. You know, get your head down, pull your socks up, and show that you're worthy of a place. Because in life, sometimes you've got to go out and earn it. You shouldn't just get given it because we've had a loss. And I think it's getting blown out of proportion. I really do.
Okay, Al-Walid, your views on Lewis Hall?
Well, he's an interesting player. Young, he have a future ahead of him. And according to very interesting previous discussions with someone, he assured me that he's the left back for the club. So I think he just maybe needs some, maybe Eddie Howe needs to give him time to fit in or to be prepared for future Nathan Harry in starting lineup. For me, my analysis for him, he have great input into attacking, but regarding defense, I think he's still weak. I think that's the reason. Eddie Howe looking for stability on the defense line, and it's very hard for Luis to perform or to be stable as Dan Bairn or Livramento at this moment.
Okay, good point. Kevin?
Is he a left back? Is he a left central midfielder? I'm still, the jury's out on that one for me. I don't know. I think he gets caught in between the two, and I think Eddie Howe's finding that himself within training. Has he been coached in a different way, what he's been used to from a tactical perspective? But again, he's 18. He's still developing. He's football knowledge. He's IQ, if you will. So for me, it's just giving him time. Yesterday, I agree with Stu that other things happened within the game that dictated that he didn't get on. Putting Burn in, putting others, it's not a trust element, but is it a trust element in that moment in time of what was needed in the game? I don't think it was. I think it was, unfortunately, soon you're going to have to miss out again because the needs must, and this is what we require at this moment in time and throughout the period of the game, what was going on in-game management type stuff. So, yeah, I think he's more of a left centre midfielder, to be honest, and I don't think he's a left back. We think he came in as one, but I think he's been trying to be molded into something different based on that he's played there for Chelsea youth and England setups and things like that. So, it could be a very good squad player down the road. Is it worth a punt of whatever millions of pounds? But again, he's only 18. Let him time to go and develop. And again, agree with Stu that he could be homesick. He could have other things going on in his life that we don't know about. But again, we'll have to keep the idea of he'll come good. He'll come good eventually. We just got to be patient. And I think that's a big problem with some of the fan base. It's like, oh, we've got to play him now. We've got to do this and force the issue on the young lad. But he could start Saturday. We don't know. It just depends on what the recovery period is from last night's game into the weekend. So we'll just have to wait and see where this one goes. But it's still very strange and odd why he's not getting on. But if you delve deeper, then there might be other reasons.
Yeah, Gary says Eddie's already stated defensively he's not where the club want him to be, and that he's been worked with. Last night called for a defensive performance, and he's not there yet. So Gary, yeah, I mean, I've listened to every one of Eddie's press conferences, and he has mentioned, you know, fleetingly on occasions Lewis Hall. I just found last night rather strange, you know, that he you know, more or less answered the question with, you know, he was looking forward to seeing him play. Well, the second time he's done that with a player, and then the player doesn't play. So I guess that's another little trick that you've got to remember with Eddie. You know, he doesn't always give you the facts, and certainly maybe he doesn't give them away on press interviews or TV interviews. But yeah, Lewis Hall, maybe he's just not quite ready, Mitch. Maybe that's the reason.
Well, you know, when he first came in, Eddie was quick to point out that he wasn't sure if left back was his best position. And one of the things I've wondered, and I said this last week, is he working on him to play in a certain position, and he's just not there yet. Also, we've got to remember, somebody reminded us not so long ago, he's only actually a few months older than Miley. And that's a lot to ask of yet another young player.
Yeah.
And so it has puzzled us, though. I've said that openly. I find it strange that even he wasn't being given 10 minutes here or 10 minutes there to take those minutes out of somebody else's legs. But if there's an appearance-based trigger, maybe he's wanting to keep those appearances limited to keep a bit of leverage in the deal. And so it's potentially a waste of time from a bigger picture, using up 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. He'd rather have him to be able to use him if we need to drop him into a position from the start. He certainly looked comfortable against Man United when we beat them in the League Cup, and but there's still this suggestion that left back's not actually his position, and if he's not where the club feel he should be defensively, then it's no wonder that we'll have a host of people who can play at full back who would be ahead of them then if they're doing what Eddie wants them to do. And is Eddie getting them ready for a different role? And it just doesn't feel that he's ahead of anybody in those roles yet. There's a lot going on there. Some of it will not get to the bottom of because it won't be discussed openly by the club or Eddie or anybody else for that matter. And as everybody's rightly said, we don't see what's going on the training ground week in, week out. It's frustrating at the minute because we seem to have lots and lots of questions about quite a few things and not a lot of answers. Those answers wouldn't be being sought for if our away form was a little bit better and we'd had a few more wins in the bank. Everything's easy when you're winning. And this is when how it should be being asked to earn his money.
Okay, George, your views?
Yeah. Well, Kevin hit on something which I've been thinking about for a while. One his age, how young he is, but I remember somebody coming to the club when I was there who was going to be the next goal scorer. He was going to be fantastic, and half a day in the club, and the coaches were seeing something that they didn't like, and it was because he'd been coached a particular way to do certain things. And they realised they were going to have to coach that out of him before they could do what they wanted to do. And I'm wondering if there isn't a bit of that with Lewis Hall. Is there something in his initial movement, something in his off the ball movement that they're trying to cure, trying to change because it's been coached into somewhere else? That's just a possibility. That's pure speculation, but it wouldn't surprise me. And Neil makes a very valid point. He's only just a few months older than Miley, and we're talking about Miley as a star. If Lewis Hall was there as well, we really would be in clover. So
I just had said he is 20. I know somebody else said that, George, but he is 20, so he's a few years older than Miley.
All right, okay. Well, okay, but even so, it's still time to work on a lot of, and especially as Kevin and Neil have said, if they've got a position for him in mind. they're not going to release him until they're sure he's going to play that position the way they want him to. And I think we've said it on here and before on other platforms. Eddie Howe, trust in Eddie. Eddie Howe knows. Eddie and his backroom staff will know when they want all to be involved in a big way. And I think he could surprise us all, because the bits that I've seen of him, which I like, the bits of him I've seen I don't particularly like, but on the whole, he's a talented player, and we're really lucky to have him.
Yep, here. We've got about 10 minutes left, and there's a few questions coming in, and we'll do a couple of short answers to these ones. Do you think our away form can be turned around, George? I certainly do.
Yes, we can. They've got to regroup and get themselves together again like they have in the past. And I think it'll only take one good result to turn the whole thing around. And I'm convinced that will start this weekend. Everybody's talking about the Luton banana skin. I'd be surprised if it was. I'm looking for this weekend as an opportunity to start turning things around. And one win could do the trick. I think we can turn it around. We shouldn't be too downhearted about it. There's a whole season to go, and we're still within touch of getting a Champions League place at the moment. In fact, the league's still wide open. If we went on a good run, we could frighten a lot of people. So, yeah, it'll turn around and it'll start this weekend, in my view.
Yeah, Mitch, what's your thoughts? Will it start with Luton at the weekend, do you think?
You'd like to hope so. The one thing about not having so many midweek games now is you can probably prepare them in the way he's been used to last season, and they'll be more prepared for away games. To be fair, the only disappointments in the away games for me were Brighton, Everton, and to a lesser degree Bournemouth. But when you listen to Dan Burn last week saying about mentally how tough it is for the players, not really training properly, doing everything at 100 mile an hour, going into the next game, different competitions. For all it's what everybody wanted, it makes you wonder if there's been something in some of the preparation that hasn't quite been as on the money because of the hectic way that we've been playing, that now Eddie will be afforded a little bit extra time with, and that might make the difference. Again, we're back to, we were once looking to turn losses into draws, we now then became to how do we turn draws into wins, and we get back into that mindset and the way we play, and also getting more people back and being able to play at a higher tempo. Because to be honest, we didn't play at the full tempo last night. We didn't press as hard or as high. I think if we had, we could have certainly got more reward than we did. I mean, that centre-back that made the rick for the first goal, he had the first touch of Peter Sutcliffe all night. I think Callum Wilson would have been all over that all night if he'd been able to do that at 100 mile an hour all night. And he couldn't. And so, yes, the one-word answer is yes, we can turn it around.
Okay. Thoughts, Kev?
Totally agree. Preparation's key in the Premier League or any sport. If you have minimal time to prepare, then it's cyclical. You just go and go and go and go, and you can't prepare for nothing. And it's just playing games, and that's, yes, it's great, but it's not good for anybody really, especially from a coaching staff. And my world and our world is periodization. You do 16 weeks, 6 months, 3 months, 4 months planning ahead and how we do this. And I think that's one for Eddie Howe to look at and see where did it go wrong within that process. But hey, look, you live and learn, and this is what it was, all a learning process throughout the whole thing. So they've tried to prepare the best they can, but I don't see why we can't go down to Luton and pretty much not put it right, but just get a scruffy 1-0 and get back on a winning streak and go from there and just go back to our basics essentially. So yeah, I think we can. And sooner rather than later, I think.
Okay, Alwaleed?
I can't wait for January because I believe we need still we need injection of 2 or 3 players into the squad. We start the season very strongly, and the way and style of Eddie Howe and the team play, with no stops and putting 100% every game, and after being exhausted and the injuries, but between injection 2 or 3 players in the transfer window and return of the injuries players, I'm sure things will turn around just fine in coming of the continuing of the season, because we can read. When we say something, you always see the kind of evidence. We do like a great game, then bad game, great game, bad game. So that's mean it's just and if the team suffering from being not playing well, if they lose always. But no, we notice that there is positive, great results, big results, but because the lack of the players, we lose some games in between.
Okay, Stu, we'll finish off with you tonight. Just your thoughts on the away form. Can we start turning it around?
Well, on the Christmas theme, pantomimes, etc., Newcastle's season has been like Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? There've been the beauty at home and the beast away. And I think a lot of us are like Al Walid. We're in the dark about it. So we'll have to just try and figure out. I kept a straight face there as well. We'll have to try and figure out why, but I was just writing down there, the players that we'll have back by the end of January, start of February, was Barnes, Willock, Anderson, Gordon, Isaac, Murphy, and we all know Wilson's not 100% fit, but he ran yesterday. Yeah, that's proper firepower, and if it wasn't for bad luck, we'd have no luck at the moment with what we've got playing up front. So it will be a test of character, and you can understandably fear the worst against Luton, with what's happened to their captain, the fact that they pushed Man City all the way, they drew with Liverpool. Arsenal were very lucky, the injury time against them. So it's a game, but this is a sort of game where Newcastle can actually excel, because this is what Newcastle do when the chips are down and when they're not expected to win. They go out and put out a comprehensive performance, and then heroes are born when they shouldn't be playing. So I would like to think we will go there, but I'm with Kev. I don't care how we do it, what the score is, as long as we come away with 3 points. That'll take us into Boxing Day. Then we'll beat Forest, and it will be just like Newcastle to go to Anfield with a couple of grudges to clear and crosses to bear, etc., and wipe the floor with them. Because irrespective of league positions, they're not playing that well at the moment either. They're a bit disjointed, but so a lot of teams, and without wanting to bang on and create a new debate, to me, this is the after effect of having the Winter World Cup, where the players haven't had the rest they could have had. So this is why, if you're betting, it's not often people are winning the coupons this season, because there's always one of the expected teams not winning.
Yeah,
I think we'll become more consistent as the season goes on, and I think the way the mindset of the players, of the coaching staff, of the forward thing of the whole club in general, to be fair, is they won't just let this season just wither away. I think they'll go into every game think they've got something to play for, and because they've set their standards so high, last night was quite hard to watch, sitting back defending so deep, but what else could they do? They had no one to bring on up front. They had no forwards on the bench. So it was a case of Wilson had to not manage his minutes, because he knew he was playing the full game, but manage his workload and be as effective as he could. And I thought he did a great job leading the line. Was he supported well enough? No, but if he was, that would have exposed us at the back. So it goes on and on and on. But if a lot of this game is played in the head rather than on the pitch, then I think we'll get the mindset right. We'll go there. No, we're better than Luton. We can roll our sleeves up as good as any other team. When it comes down to it, we've got enough battlers in that team that'll say, right, okay, if we'll win the battle, then our class will shine through. And even with all injuries out, our start 11 should be better than Luton's 11. And if they're going with that mindset, which I'm sure they will, I think we will come away with 3 points. And as I said earlier, like Kev, we'll take the 3 points anyway, but 3-1. Christmas.
Well, you're going to be a special guest on the Amigos, so we'll be going through the predictions with you on Friday. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm back 6 o'clock tomorrow, of course, with Supermac and Gibbo. Amigos, remember, on Friday, slightly earlier time of 4 o'clock until 5:30. Stu's going to pop on as well with the no professionals this weekend, so it'd be good to have him there. But have a good night, whatever you're doing. And a thanks to George, thanks to Mitch, to Stu, to Al-Walid and his wonderful family, and to Kevin. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
everybody.
Good night.